All right, what's going on, everybody? It has been a long time since I've uploaded a video. Been too long. I've been busy. There's been good reason. I was out for a week on vacation. I've been moving into a new place. There's gonna be a new setting behind me. Not the same one that you've seen on previous videos, but I'm back. A lot has happened, particularly in the NBA. And as you can see by the title, I'm gonna basically catch up on everything that I didn't get to talk about because I want to make sure my takes are heard, even if it's a little bit late. So I'm gonna do this is called the NBA Free Agency Extravaganza. I'm gonna just basically talk about the free agent moves and kind of what I think about them. I'm gonna give them a letter grade for each deal, and just a quick thing. It's gonna be a longer video, but I want to try to limit as much time as I'm talking on these guys. I want to just give you guys quick little blurbs, and I have it written down here so I, stay on track. So just to, once again say things. I'm really just talking about unrestricted free agents. I'm not gonna really talk about the extensions like to Desmond Bane, LaMelo, Halliburton. I'm not gonna talk about restricted free agents that we knew weren't going to leave, or veterans, certain deals. I'm not going to talk about Harrison Barnes re-signing, Levert, Landale. That's a free agency signing, but I just don't feel to talk about it. Vucevic, so stuff like that. But let's get right into it. We'll start from the beginning. Draymond Green to the Warriors, 4 years, $100 million. I gave this a B- grade. And look, Draymond's going to defend. He's going to make the right pass. There's some continuity element. The championship core still intact with Curry, Clay, and Draymond. But I just don't really see him aging well. I feel like his impact on the game has been overstated. I think he destroyed the chemistry on the team last season, and there were no repercussions for it, with the pool punch. I just think there was a massive reason why Bob Myers left the job. He didn't leave for no reason. And I think it's just that the Warriors, the dynasty, the collapse of the dynasty is going to get ugly. There were two options for Bob Myers. It was either to split apart the championship core, let Clay walk next season, let Draymond walk this offseason, and get young around Curry and Wiggins with their draftees, and then try to, win that way and extend the window. And that would piss off a lot of the fans who are diehards for Draymond and Clay. Or you basically give up on the experiment with the young guys like they have done with Poole, and Kuminga got no play time, Moody got limited play time from Steve Kerr, and Wiseman obviously didn't work out. Some of these guys, they would have pressed the issue a little bit if they performed better, but they haven't really gotten a true chance. And if you do that, well, it's going to get ugly when these guys get old, and they're getting old as the days go by. So I give it a B-, but I am not a Draymond fan. I don't like the deal. I only give it a B-. I mean, I personally think it could maybe be in the C range, but to be fair, I think it could be a B- just because of the, he's not a terrible player. Clearly, he's still a good player. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of the deal. I would have liked, if I were running the team and didn't have to deal with all those external factors like the fan base, ownership, just the fact that you won championships with this team, I would have, probably let him walk or tried to trade him sooner and stuck with the young guys. Okay, next, Kyle Kuzma to the Wizards, 4 years, $102 million. I gave this an A. I mean, I'm not really sure what the Wizards are doing, but I do like this deal. He averaged 21 points per game, 7 rebounds. It's kind of less money than I expected for Kuzma at $25 million a season. There's certain other guys on this list where I feel, Kuzma's probably better than them, and they got, bigger deals. Overall, I mean, look, I think Poole and Kuzma are going to be, they're going to keep the Wizards entertaining. They're going to score a lot of points. Those two I'm talking about, not the team as an entirety. But they're not going to keep them out of the top 5. And that's ultimately what the Wizards are trying to do here. They're trying to kind of do a complete reset, a hard reset, which they should have done probably sooner, before the Wembanyama and Scoot Henderson and Brandon Miller draft. But they're going to be, these guys, Poole and Kuzma, they're going to be good, young. They're young, but they're seasoned role players to support a star draftee that they get in the coming years, assuming they draft correct and get the right draft position. So I think the Wizards, it's a good move. They let Porzingis go to the Celtics. They let obviously they had the big Bradley Beal trade to get rid of that money. So they're definitely resetting, but you don't want to give up all your assets. And when you can bring Kuzma back for just over $25 million a season, I think it's a good deal. Okay, next, Bruce Brown, Pacers, 2 years, $45 million. I give this an A as well. I love the deal personally. I'm a huge Bruce Brown fan. I think a lot of people are after the way he showed out this season for the Nuggets. But, the Pacers quietly have a young core now. They have Halliburton, who's their star player. They have Mathurin, who had a great rookie season. Miles Turner, maybe he'll be there. Maybe he'll be a trade chip for, another guy. They have Buddy Hield, now Bruce Brown, Jarris Walker, who they just drafted. They got Obi Toppin basically for free. And I think Brown's going to fit well there. He's proven he can perform in the playoffs. He scores, defends well. You know, he's a two-way player for sure. He shoots well from three. And I called him, you know, instant oatmeal. He's like instant transition. I mean, when he was with the Nuggets, I mean, he was electric in transition in the playoffs, in my opinion. So I think, you know, he's probably going to step up the scoring. His overall game may decrease a little bit just because, you know, his well-roundedness and efficiency may decrease because he's not playing with Nikola Jokic, and he's going to have more opportunity to handle the ball. So there'll be some stuff there, but I think it's a super low-risk deal, 2 years, $45 million. I mean, it's a great deal, and it's smart of the Pacers to spend this money when they have it. Okay, next deal, Jeremy Grant, 5 years, $160 million extension with the Blazers. I gave this a C. I'm just not a fan of the contract because according to what I've read, it seems like they knew that Dame was going to want out before they offered this contract to Jeremy Grant, and they still went through with it. And, you know, he can score well. He's averaged about 20 points, but I look at it as, is he really much more than a 3 or 4 on a championship team? I would probably put him more towards a 4 on a championship team. So I just don't love the contract because it doesn't really align with their, you know, if they do end up trading Dame, which that seems like what you should do, especially with how Scoot Henderson looks. You know, it doesn't really align with if you're going to let's just reset. We have Scoot. We have Shaden Sharp, we have Simons, who could be a trade chip or could be another player we keep. You know, we have 3 really good young guards. We're going to get a haul for Damian Lillard. Let's just get super young and try to just have a slow build on this. So it was a little bit strange. It just doesn't align, in my opinion, with that slow build. But, you know, he's going to score for them, but I don't like the deal. Okay, next deal, Kyrie Irving to the Mavs, 3 years, $126 million. And I give this a B. And now I'm a little bit higher than Kyrie than others. So, you know, you use with that what you will, but I'm like, what are the Mavericks supposed to do? They gave up all this for Kyrie Irving at the deadline. You pretty much have to stick with it. And so there's one big question here. How long before the next Kyrie saga? And that's the most important question. We've seen what he's done the past couple seasons. So, you know, on the floor, I'm a big fan of this guy. He shows up, and he doesn't really cause problems when he plays. He's a good teammate. He performs well when he's not injured or doing some crazy stuff off the court. But, you know, I think it's going to be good if he plays. I think things are going to be as clunky offensively, kind of the stuff with he and Luka at the end of the year, at the end of the game, didn't know who to shoot, what to do. So I think things are going to get, you know, cleaned up there. So like I said, I mean, I think if he plays, deal's going to be fine. But if he doesn't play or he goes off on another, you know, escapade or whatever, it's going to be disastrous. So this is really like, you know, it's teetering very, you know, it could go one way or the other, and whichever way it goes is going to be game-changing for the Mavericks. It could mean Luka not coming back and re-signing with the team when he's eligible for free agency. You know, this is really, it's going to have a huge impact on the franchise. But if he plays, I think it's going to be good. I think the Mavs, you know, they're making some good moves this offseason. All right, next deal, Chris Middleton to the Bucks, 3 years, $102 million. I give this one a B+. I mean, the health of Chris Middleton is really going to determine how this deal plays out, but I think he's kind of been a forgotten, you know, star, if you want to call him that. I mean, he's a really high end too, and he complements Giannis very well, especially when they run that pick and roll. I think this is just a really good continuity move, you know, with the core. So there's that perspective, which is the one I'm going with. But there's the other perspective of like, okay, is it continuity or is this team just getting stale? We just lost to the 8 seed, so you know, this is another kind of deal where it's going to depend on his availability on the court and how things shape out. Was last year just a fluke, or was it really problematic? Was Drew Holiday's kind of dip in performance in the playoffs problematic? You know, is Brook Lopez going to get old quick? You know, these questions, they're going to be answered, but I kind of lean towards it going down that first path where it's a good deal. It's going to keep the core together, and they're going to be able to go out next year, and they're not going to lose to the 8 seed again. You know, that's my opinion on it. Next deal, Cameron Johnson, former Phoenix Sun, to the Nets on an extension, or he re-signed with them, 4 years, $108 million. So more than the Kuzma deal, which this is one of the guys, you know, I'm a fan of Johnson, but this is one of the guys where I'm like, ooh, I mean, Kuzma probably better than him. I gave this an A- though, because look, I think Johnson on a great team, a championship team, is a well above average role player, especially if he continues to develop. Shooting, we all know about the shooting, but he does bring a lot more. You know, he has good size. His athleticism is way more than people build it to be at the draft. You know, he can compete on defense. Who knows? Does he have a Mikal Bridges, you know, growth period where he gets better at creating his own shot? I think, you know, if he takes the leap the next couple seasons, this deal's at $27 million a year. It's going to be a good deal. Let me take a sip of water. Next deal, Gabe Vincent, Lakers, 3 years, 33 million. I'm giving this a B. I am a Gabe Vincent fan. I'm maybe not as high on others, or like my reaction isn't as high on this deal as others. I think, at times he can be a bit of a chucker. He's not going to shoot a great percentage from three always, and he's definitely, shown in the playoffs he could be a defensive liability. But I think he's an upgrade and a good replacement for Schroeder. I mean, he has higher offensive upside. His defense probably not on par, but I do think Gabe Vincent is a good player. I'm not trying to try. I'm a fan of his. I liked what he did with the Heat this year. I think the money's good. At 11 million, it's basically for 3 years, just under the mid-level. I mean, I think it's a good deal. I think it's a B. Maybe I could have given it a B plus. I just don't think. I'm not sure the ceiling for Gabe Vincent is much higher than it was this postseason. And look, he was a good postseason player, but I think the reaction to it has been a little bit greater than it should be. Okay, let's move to the next deal. Rui Hachimura, Lakers, 3 years, $51 million. They re-signed him for. I give this one a C+. I'm just not as high on Rui replicating his postseason success, and that's kind of funny because I drafted him in my fantasy basketball dynasty league last night. But he looked awesome at times. Seriously looked like the player that he was drafted to be. And he elevated his game. He played with more purpose, intensity with the Lakers. So is that repeatable? Maybe. And it is. And if it is, this deal is much higher than a C+. But I think the ceiling on the deal is, I don't know. This could be a very, very bad deal in a year, or it could just be a good deal. Because the money is, they paid Gabe Vincent 3 years, 33. They gave Rui Hachimura $18 million more. I'm not sure what he did in his limited time with the Lakers really warranted that much. Especially when you compare it to a contract of Austin Reeves. Reeves is far more impactful in my opinion, and he did it over a longer period of time. But look, if they really believe that Rui Hachimura is going to, maybe it was just being with the Wizards that kind of held him back, and, now he's in a winning culture. He's obviously growing his game, coming into form. So, maybe this turns out to be a good deal. But I have a feeling it's probably just going to be, or, a great deal. But I have a feeling it's probably just going to be an okay or a good deal, It's fine. We didn't get burned. It wasn't the best deal, but it wasn't, I think it's just a good one. I think he's going to be a good player. He's not going to be trash, or kind of look like, whoa, is this guy even going to be anybody? Kind of what people were asking when he was on the Wizards. But I don't think he's going to be like a 2 or a 3. I think he's really just going to be a guy that can come off the bench and compete, hit threes, So I don't know. It's tricky because I think he's decent, but I'm just not sure. I'm not sold on him taking big steps, and I'm not sold on him repeating how he played last season. I think there might be a little regression, but we will see. Okay, Fred VanVleet, he went to the Rockets on a 3-year max contract. I think it was like 120 million or something, 130 million, something like that. I give this deal a B+. I think he's a veteran. It's going to bring maturity to that super young team with a bunch of, lottery picks from the last couple of years, a bunch of young guards particularly. I think there's something he may be able to unlock, something with Jabari Smith, if he's able to get him the ball in good positions. I see VanVleet probably averaging around 23 and 10. So, look, I don't love the price tag. I don't think he's a max player, but he's a good player for sure. We saw he's a player that's super impactful on the championship team. We saw that in 2019. So I think, the Rockets had a ton of money to spend, and I think he's going to be a veteran that's going to help, get things in order a little bit, because a lot of their offense the past couple seasons was just like, okay, your turn to shoot, my turn to shoot, between basically Jalen Green and Kevin Porter. But I think VanVleet's going to help run a more NBA team offense. So I like the deal. At B+, I like it a lot. Okay, next deal is going to be Max Strus to the Cavs, 4 years, $63 million. I give this a B. I like the deal for the Cavs. I think he's a 3-and-D player. It's going to be pivotal for them. They didn't really have that. But my question is not so much to do with Max Strus, it's more of the Cavs in general. Like, what's going to be different? Because this is nothing against Strus. Like, I've said it a couple times now. I like the deal. I like him as a player. But he's not, this signing isn't going to change their fortunes. So, what they really need is for Mobley and Mitchell to take steps forward in the postseason. So I think I'm kind of going aside from the purpose of just analyzing the deal, which I think a B is a good grade for. But this just leads me into a separate discussion of, okay, ultimately the Cavs need Mitchell and Mobley to show up and play better in the postseason, and they need Mobley particularly to take steps and keep developing. So, I think it's a good deal, but I don't think, maybe this is more of an analysis of the Cavs, what they did at the in the offseason. Should they have done something different? Should they have pivoted? Or, I don't hate just continuing with the core from last year and hoping things shake out differently. D'Angelo Russell, next deal, Lakers, 2 years, 37 million. I give it a B minus. I mean, Russell was good at times. You know, he'd come in and hit a couple threes. He was definitely good in the regular season, but he was barely playable in the postseason at times. So, you know, I think it's likely that Russell just becomes a trade piece at the deadline. So I'm not going to get too much into this deal, but if he comes back and plays, it's pretty good value for, you know, a guy of his upside. So it's B minus. Brook Lopez to the Bucks, 2 years, 48 million. This is kind of like the Middleton thing. I gave it a B. You know, I'm not as high on Lopez, you know, moving forward just because of his age. But I think it's good for the Bucks. It kind of gets back to the continuity thing. You know, I think the core is still good. You know, like I said, those two paths where, you know, the core sticks together and they come back next year and they right the wrong of the 8 seed loss to the Heat and they go make a deep playoff run. You know, they're definitely going to be title contenders again. Or there's a thing where it's like Brook Lopez is old and, you know, so I already talked about that. So, you know, I think it's another one. I still lean towards a better outcome on this one. Brook Lopez is a good player. Okay, this is the highest grade I'm giving a deal. Austin Reeves to the Lakers, 4 years, $56 million. I give it an A+. I mean, Reeves kind of annoyed me watching the postseason rooting against the Lakers because I didn't like his flopping and the whole I'm him thing. It's just, but look, I mean, this is a home run for the Lakers in my opinion. No team offered him the max. Like I would listen to Bill Simmons talk about this and I'm like, yes, you are completely right. The Spurs should have gone and offered him the max, whatever it was, $92 million over 4 seasons or something, just to make the Lakers match and screw him over. I mean, why wouldn't you do that? It doesn't make sense. And if they don't match, okay, you get Austin Reeves, 4 years, $92 million. What is that? I mean, that's not even, it's not a debilitating deal. You know, it's $23 million a season. That's, to me, it's like, I think they're crazy to not do it, especially when you have as much cap space as a team like the Spurs, and you're going to get a good player. But look, Reeves he's not just a 3-point shooter. He's shown he can drive. He can compete on defense. He draws fouls well, like I said. I mean, he's a competitor. He was super reliable for the Lakers in the postseason. He wasn't just good. I mean, he was like their third option. So I think this is just a home run, like I said. And after the new cap, you know, supposedly there's going to be 10% cap increase in the next couple of years. This is going to look even better, assuming that Reeves sticks around. I mean, man, I love the deal. Okay, next deal. We're getting to the end here. We're only 17 minutes in. Dillon Brooks to the Rockets, 4 years, $80 million. I know a lot of people are going to crap on this deal. I gave it a B. I mean, I think Dillon Brooks is a good player. He's an instigator. He's not as bad as Draymond, because the thing I don't like about Draymond is how he just gets in the refs' faces and will just scream at him. And people just accept it because, oh, he's Draymond. But, you know, a lot of people don't like Dillon Brooks after the whole Lakers series. The Grizzlies moved on from him, and people use that to crap on Brooks. But I think Brooks, I don't know. I don't know why they did that, because I think, like, you know, the fact that they got Smart's probably going to replace the Brooks absence, but I think he's going to be good. I mean, he's not a bad player because LeBron and AD had success against him. You know, he's an all defense type defender. Those guys fit in the NBA, you know. He's another vet as well that's going to bring, you know, more of an identity, you know, particularly Brooks, you know, for the fact that he's kind of an instigator and a strong defender. He's going to bring an identity to this young team that has absolutely no identity other than that they're young. So, look, the money, some people have talked about, I think it's fine. I mean, they have a ton of money to spend. I don't think they're going to be a championship team where cap space is, you know, extremely important. In maybe 4 years they will be, but 3 years, it's just, I think they're going to be coming into their own in a couple seasons. And at that point, the Van Vliet money will be off the books. And this is going to be a tradable contract if you need to. But I think it's going to be a good fit, honestly. I think Brooks. Okay. The next one, this is probably going to be controversial as well, but I'm high on this guy still. Russell Westbrook to the Clippers, 2 years, $8 million. I gave this an A. I mean, to me, I see this as a complete robbery. It's basically the vet min over 2 seasons. And I just think there are probably larger offers out there for Westbrook. I mean, there had to be, but he probably wanted to stay with the Clippers. But I just think it sucks that the Lakers thing happened because it just ruined his reputation. And look, he didn't play great there, and there was a lot that was going on, but I personally am throwing away like 80% of it. Yeah, he did miss a lot of shots. His shot making, you know, particularly his jump shot went down a lot. He wasn't great, supposedly, in the locker room. I think a lot of that had to do with LeBron, though. It's just, I don't think he was to blame a lot for the Lakers, and he was still okay at times, but he wasn't the Russ. He wasn't the Russ that, you know, we knew on OKC and the Rockets and even the Wizards where he averaged triple-double. So, but look, I'm throwing that away. I mean, the way he played, in the Sun series for the Clippers and how he finished the regular season. He was electric. And, so I look at him as still the future first ballot Hall of Famer, and he still can play at a high level, fill up the stat sheet. He's not going to be relied on as number one option, but, he fit well there when Kawhi was out there. It wasn't like he was, because when he was in his prime, he would make sure he got his shots. He'll still make sure he gets his shots, but he's not going to be a detriment to the team, in my opinion. And I think his nonstop motor, defensive intensity, he's a winning player, so I love the deal. For the Clippers, I think, especially with how much Kawhi and Paul George load manage, this guy's he's going to keep the team running in the regular season, in my opinion. So I like the deal. Okay, third to last deal I'm going to talk about, Dante DiVincenzo to the Knicks, 4 years, $50 million. And I'm going to preface my letter grade by saying I like DiVincenzo a lot as a player, but I'm giving this deal a C+, because I look at DiVincenzo as a guy who he provides the most value on a great team. It's like his winning style of play. He makes he's gritty he has good defensive ability. He can make shots, from beyond the arc. He brings winning value on a good team. But I don't think I know he doesn't elevate a team to great. And so I think his values maximize on a great team where they need role players around stars to go win a championship. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And the thing is, I don't like the fit because the Knicks already have a DiVincenzo. They have Josh Hart. And they already have higher end, not that they're great, but they already have higher end wing role players. RJ Barrett, Hart, like I said, Quickly even, Grimes. They have wing role players, so I don't really see the fit for DiVincenzo. I don't hate it. Look, he's another Villanova guy, but I just think the Knicks, it's kind of like the Cavs where it goes beyond analyzing just the deal for that singular player, but they need the superstar rather than another wing role player. But overall, I like DiVincenzo. He's going to do well for them, but I just don't think the fit, it's not the best. Okay, Eric Gordon to my Phoenix Suns for 2 years, $6 million. I say this is like similar to the Russ thing. It's a robbery. I don't even know how the Suns got him, but I give it an A. I don't love his defense and his ability to handle the ball, and he's getting older. He's slowing down, but look, the guy can still shoot. In the Clippers series with the Suns Clippers, he was definitely turned into like a chucker. He was just like chucking up bricks. He was not shooting well, but his track record, it speaks for itself. He's a very good shooter, and I think he's a great scorer for the Suns to pick up. I love the deal. Okay, last one I'm going to talk about today. Grant Williams in a sign-and trade, but I basically consider it a free agency signing to the Mavericks. 4 years, $53 million. I give this an A-. I'm not super high on Williams as a player. I don't think he's not one of my favorite players, and I don't think this guy's going to turn into 15 and 8. But look, I think the fit's great alongside Luka and Kyrie, and I'm not talking about him like he's a third option, but as they just don't have much depth on their team, so he's going to kind of be put into that role. Not necessarily scoring wise, but almost in like a Draymond Green role where it's like they rely on him heavily for his defense and his ability to kind of just compete against the other team's best player. But I kind of think like for the need that they had, they really needed a guy like Williams. He gives them an identity. He's going to bring defense for a team where they're super guard heavy with Luka and Kyrie, and those guys don't really play defense well. So I think the need, the money is totally justified, and it's kind of cheap. 4 years, 53. What is that? I don't even know. Is that what, 15? Basically, just over 15 million a season for that need on the team. That's cheap in my opinion. So I like the deal. I don't think like I said, I don't think he's going to be some star player. He's not going to be a third option in the traditional sense on a great team. But I love the fit, and he's going to bring consistently what he always brings to the table, what he brought to the table for the Celtics. So I like the deal. And so that wraps it. 24 minutes in, those are my free agency thoughts. I would love to hear what you guys think. I know, like I said, it's late. I wish it wasn't so late. I would have liked to be able to react to these things right when they happen, but I wanted to make sure my takes are out there for future reference when I discuss these things in videos and kind of how things play out. Look, I gave these things grades. I feel like I gave a lot of high grades, but certain deals are just A deals in my opinion. But B's, those are just, I consider those to be good, and then anything C I don't consider to be very good. But an A deal could turn out being a D, and a C could turn out being an A+. So I'm not writing any of these things off. I'm just giving you my take on them as they happen. So let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear some discussion in the comments, and I'll get back to you on those if I do see some. But yeah, get used to it. Videos are coming again. Needed, had a little break, had some time off, but we are going to get back to the regular posting. So hope you guys enjoyed.